Doesn't Islam promote violence, bloodshed and brutality? Since the Quran says that Muslims should kill the kuffar wherever they find them. There are non-Muslims who pick up verses of the glorious Quran and they quote it out of context. And one such verse of the glorious Quran that the non-Muslims, the critics of Islam, they pick up and they quote out of context. It is the verse of the glorious Quran from Surah At-Tawbah, chapter number 9, verse number 5. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, kill the kafir wherever you find them. That is, kill the mushrikeen wherever you find them. But this verse, it is in context. In order to know the context of this verse, you need to read the first few verses of Surah At-Tawbah, from verse number 1 until verse number 5. If we read the first few verses of Surah At-Tawbah, in the first few verses of Surah At-Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's talking about a peace treaty between the mushriks of Makkah and the Muslims. And this peace treaty, it was unilaterally broken by the mushriks of Makkah. And by the time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reaches verse number 5, He is giving the mushriks of Makkah an ultimatum, a warning that put things straight in 4 months' time, otherwise declaration of war. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verse number 5, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is telling the Muslims that kill the mushrikeen wherever you find them. It is in context, it is in the battlefield. For example, if there is a war between USA and Vietnam, and the US Army General or the President of USA, he tells the US soldiers that wherever you find the Vietnamese, you kill him. It is in context, it is in the battlefield that wherever you find a Vietnamese, you kill him. If I quote the US Army General today, or if I quote the President of USA today, and if I say the President of USA or the US Army General is saying that wherever you find a Vietnamese, you kill him, and if I do not give the context, I would make him sound like a butcher. So it is in context, it is in the battlefield that wherever you find a Vietnamese, you kill him. So many a times we find that the non-Muslims, they pick up verses of the glorious Quran and they quote it out of context. And one of the famous critics of Islam by the name of Arun Shuri, he writes in his book The World of Fatwas, page number 572, that he quotes this verse of the glorious Quran from Surah At-Tawbah, chapter number 9, verse number 5, that wherever you find a kafir, you should kill him. And after quoting verse number 5, he immediately jumps to verse number 7. Why? Because verse number 6 has the response, has the reply to his sickness. In Surah At-Tawbah, chapter number 9, verse number 6, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنْ أَحَدٌ مِّنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ اسْتَجَارَكَ فَأَجِرْهُ حَتَّى يَسْمَعَ كَلَامَ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ أَبْلِغْهُ مَأْمَنَهُ. That if the non-Muslim, if the kafir, they want peace, do not just grant it to them, escort them to a place of security. The most merciful army general in the world, the maximum he can tell the enemies is go away for you are free. But the glorious Quran goes a step further and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if the non-Muslims, if the enemies, they want peace, do not just grant it to them, escort them to a place of security. So the non-Muslims, the critics of Islam, they pick up verse of the glorious Quran and they quote it out of context. Islam, it does not promote bloodshed. It does not promote violence. It does not promote brutality. Islam is the religion of peace. So we should look at the complete context when we are reading the verses of the glorious Quran. And if we look at the complete context, we shall realize the beauty of Islam. So I hope that answers the question.